Social media management can be a struggle for many content creators out there, especially if you utilize more than one social media platform. But I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be an overwhelming process, and I've actually learned a few tips over the years that I think can really help with this. So in today's video, I'm going to go through some of the best tips that I have for social media management, and if you're struggling to get on top of your social media, hopefully this video will help you out. But if you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. But I'm also a content creator and I started this channel a few years ago to talk about all things business, social media, freelancing and content creation. And as I mentioned in today's video, we're going to be going through some of my best tips for social media management, so let's get into it. So as I mentioned, social media management can be kind of frustrating at times, and especially if you've got more than one social media platform, which I feel like a lot of content creators do have these days. It's usually kind of like a safe way to go, especially if you're looking at being a full-time content creator. It's good to have a social presence across different platforms. But then comes the management side of things, and if you're not blessed with the best organizational skills in the world, like I definitely haven't been, then you may find it hard to get on top of all of your social media content creation and really find good workflow with what you're doing. It's extremely hard to be consistent on social media if you don't have good social media management. And this is something that I've definitely learned over the years of being on social media. I've worked on 3 different YouTube channels over the last 10 years. I've had several Instagram accounts, TikTok accounts, Pinterest accounts, you name it, I've probably had an account on every social media platform. And I think it's been very difficult at times to keep up with everything that I need to do, especially these days where I'm running kind of 3 different brands across different social media accounts. I need to have those management skills intact and I really need to have a system that works for me. And to note here as well, social media management doesn't just mean social media management physically, like for social media sites. It can also mean the entire process of content creation and how your workflow is going in each of those areas, because that is all linked to your social media at the end of the day as a content creator, and you really need to make sure the systems behind the scenes as well as actual physical systems that really work within social media as well to manage different posts and content online. You need to make sure everything across the board has a really good system. So I'm going to talk about some tips now on what I feel has really helped me over the years with getting a little bit more organizational skills in terms of my social media management and just getting on top of things a little bit more, being more consistent overall. Lots of these little things and systems I'm going to talk about today have really helped me to achieve that. So we're going to start off strong with the first point, and I really think that this is something that every content creator should have. But the first point is to utilize a social media scheduler and analytics platform. One of the most important tips for social media management is to utilize a platform where you can actually manage your content. I personally use Metricool, who also happen to be today's video sponsor. For a little bit of background on Metricool, it is an all-in-one social media planning and analytics platform which helps creators to get on top of their content. As I mentioned previously in the video, for someone who has several social media accounts and several different brands across those social media accounts, it can be really difficult for me to stay on top of my content creation and output each week. But by using Metricool's scheduling system, especially for TikTok and Instagram, it really allows me to have more of a set and forget mentality, and then I don't have to really stress about posting from scratch several times a week. Being able to use the features that Metricool has to offer to plan and schedule my content really makes the whole process more efficient. For example, I can use the hashtag searcher to collect a bunch of relevant hashtags for a series of posts I want to create. Then I can add and categorize them in the save text feature, which means I can add them to another post with the click of a button. Not to mention that being able to plan your captions in advance is an absolute lifesaver. There's nothing worse than having to post regularly to TikTok and Instagram a few times a week and you're having to think of a caption on the spot. With Metricool, you can take your time to plan all of this in advance. Plus, you can also use the AI assistant to help generate captions for you. If you want to see this feature in action, I actually created a video a few months ago where I talked about how I created a month's worth of TikTok and Instagram content in just a few hours. I also utilized the AI assistant for this and it was amazing. All of these features are going to cut down time on your social media management, and that's why it's really important to have one single place where you can do this. Along with having a planner and scheduler, it's imperative that you've got a place to track your metrics. Again, Metricool is wonderful for this because I can easily see a detailed snapshot of my stats and analytics across all of my social media platforms in one place. This will help you to determine which content is working and what's not, and also what your viewers enjoy and interact with most, which is really key to your social media management. Some other really notable features include an all-in-one inbox for your social media accounts, a visual preview of your feeds, and the best times to post. If you want to check out Metrical for free, make sure to click the link in the description box below and enter the code Kaylee for 30 free days off any paid plan. Thanks again to Metrical for sponsoring this video. So again, making sure you've got a social media management system like Metrical to really make sure that your social media content is taken care of week to week. You don't have to think about scheduling or posting so much. I think this is one of those bare minimum things to do if you're really struggling to get on top of your content. I really like to schedule a lot of my posts or to plan out my content at the beginning of the month. Like I said, usually I'll do it monthly or maybe I might do it fortnightly, and I'll just sit down for a morning and really just write down some of the things that I want to be posting, especially for things like Instagram and TikTok, making sure that I've kind of got an idea of what I want to post. I have stopped doing this monthly as much lately because I do find with Instagram and TikTok, it's good to hop on trends, and pre-planning some content too far in advance is sometimes not the right way to go. So I usually find that fortnightly at the moment is a good way to schedule in part of my content. But again, using a system like Metrical is really imperative, I know, for me, and I really can't do without it now for social media management. So now we're moving into the back end of social media management, and this is more your content creation management that kind of leads to your social media. So for the second tip, it is to have a good weekly workflow. Now, I've talked about good weekly workflow on my channel a number of times before, but I think it can be a very subjective thing, and I do think if your workflow works for you, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. I think finding something that really works for you in terms of what days in the week you feel like you can do more work and what days you might have other commitments on, you might have to do less, especially if you're working a full-time job. This is really going to be different for everyone, but I think it is important to find that flow with your week and find something that you can easily get into a routine with. I've spoken about this briefly in a few videos before, but I often find that my week at the moment is best starting off a bit slower and then kind of getting a little bit busier towards the middle of the week, and then towards Friday things start to get a little bit quieter again with the content that I have to produce. But I actually have my week set up this way because on Monday I will usually do a lot of my planning. So that is my planning for YouTube videos, for Instagram posts, whatever it is that I'm planning for, and that usually starts my week off just that little bit more slowly, but that's how it suits me, and I know that I can really keep to that schedule of doing things because Mondays kind of suck and everyone hates Mondays. So I always like to make sure that I'm not going too hard on a Monday because I know my brain really struggles to take it. So on a Monday, I like to do my planning. Tuesday, I will tend to do my filming. I'll usually also post a video on Tuesday or Wednesday, but moving on to Wednesday is usually an editing day for me. Then Thursday is kind of like my wildcard day where I have it a little bit more freer and open. I usually do this because sometimes earlier on in the week, I won't get to do as much as I wanted to, and then it means that I've also got an extra day there that I can utilize if I still need to get a lot of things done. And then Friday is usually my posting day. I usually have several YouTube videos to post, so I really focus on thumbnails and titles and descriptions and video rendering and making sure everything's uploading correctly. So that's kind of my Fridays, and again, sometimes I have other tasks that I set aside for those kinds of days as well where I have a little bit more time, but I think it works for me that way because I'm getting the bulk of my work done around midweek, and then it means I can kind of like taper off towards Friday. I think the workflow in terms of planning, then filming, then editing, then posting also works really well for me in a Monday to Friday kind of week. It just works for me, and I really think having that good flow in that sense helps me to manage my social media accounts so much better, because when I didn't have more of a schedule like that and I was just kind of posting and filming and doing editing on random days, I didn't have designated days for any of those tasks, I was really struggling to keep on top of everything, and that's exactly when my consistency tanked. So I think in conjunction with making sure you've got a platform to manage your social media, make sure your workflow week to week is really working for you as well. Tip number 3 is to organize your creations and data well. So this can include raw footage or B-roll, photo, video, whatever it is that you're using to create your social media content. Make sure that you're organizing this in the back end really well. Because let me tell you, as someone who's doing this pretty much full time now, it gets wild with the amount of content you produce each week. And even after a few weeks of just filming new content, you'd be surprised at how much that actually builds up, and the files and folders that you have just sitting everywhere on your computer can be absolutely wild. So I highly recommend getting into a system of doing this really early on, especially for things like B-roll. I found that for me, I was just like uploading clips wherever for a long time, and then it was extraordinarily hard to find anything that I needed for my videos, and that would make me frustrated, and then in turn that would make me not want to do the videos, or I couldn't be bothered to edit them, or I couldn't be bothered to post them because I needed this footage that I couldn't find. Like, things like this happen all the time, and it can really suck your motivation out of you when you can't find things easily and it just seems like it's too hard or too overwhelming overwhelming. So this is really all part and parcel of making sure that your social media management is there along with your content creation management, because if that is not there, then you're not even going to get it to social media. I personally like to make sure that my hard drives are fairly organized. I try and do this in a way that best suits me. I don't think it needs to be down to a T, like everything's super detailed and organized, really detailed folders or anything like that. But if you've got a fairly good setup with your files and folders and you kind of know where everything is, I feel like that is the bare minimum. That is good enough for some people, and I definitely feel that for me that's good enough as well. I tend to sort a lot of my files into year first off, and then that will go into things like even photo shoots and video uploads and then rendered videos. I try and make some main titled folders along with the videos that I'm uploading constantly, because I do upload a lot of video content week to week. I actually just do it by date, so it's easy to find. I know that the files are then going to be sorted in the correct order, and then I usually just give it a really brief nickname. Sometimes it's not even anything specifically, it might just be for whichever YouTube channel I'm posting to, but at least the date is there so I can find it easily enough. But again, I can't stress this enough. If you're not very good with organization on your computer and you're that person that names files like literal gibberish on the keyboard, which let's be real, I'm also that person at times, it's good to get into a routine of not doing that and starting to think a little bit more about how you want to set out your files, because that will really play a part in how easily you get to create content week to week and how smooth and efficient the whole process is too. Now, tip number 4 for social media management is to pre-film content in advance so you have content in reserve. I truly feel if you want to be consistently present on social media and you want to be consistent with your output of content, this is the way to go. Pre-filming will really help you to achieve your goals and your targets with being consistent on social media. If you're not pre-filming and if you don't have a reserve of videos, I've said this before on my channel, but it only takes one other commitment in the week to completely screw up your whole schedule, and then suddenly you've not posted a video for the week, or you've not posted on Instagram or TikTok or anywhere that you're posting online. It can be really easy to kind of shake up a schedule that you've just started to get into, and like I said, it can only be one thing that might throw you off for the week. It might be an appointment, or you might get sick, or you might not be at home, you might be away. There's a lot of things that can happen each week that really make that process harder, and if you can get on top of your content that way, then it is going to be so much easier to stay consistent with your social media and actually producing regular content. So at the moment, what I've actually been doing, because I've really wanted to build more of a reserve of YouTube videos, I am posting twice a week to this channel, and I also post once a fortnight to 2 other channels that I have. I have a travel vlogging channel with my partner, and I also have a photography channel, which is the channel that I've had for over 10 years now. So I am really creating a lot of videos at this point, and I need to make sure that if I'm trying to stick to schedules, that for the most part, all of that content is getting created. And even for a while there, I was only maybe about 1 week in advance, and I was even struggling with that. So I felt like I needed to just get more in my reserve. So if things were happening through the week, like appointments, or I needed to be out of the house, that would mean that I wasn't going to be behind on filming. So what I've actually been doing this month is actually filming 2 extra videos a week on top of the 2 that I would usually film a week. So I've been filming 4 a week, and I've been setting 2 days aside in the week to do my filming. And I've really made this the standard for this month only. I don't probably see myself doing too much of it next month, but we'll see. I've sort of started to get into this new routine now of having more than 1 day of filming and actually producing more content, even though it's been a lot more hectic this month to do so. But I do feel good in myself because I know already I've pretty much got a backlog. By the end of this month, I'll have around 8 extra videos in reserve that I know equates to about 4 weeks worth of content on this channel. So if for 1 week or 2 weeks I am sick or I can't film for whatever reason, I know that I've got those weeks in advance. And I'll probably do this at some other stage as well, just to build that reserve up again even higher. And this is sometimes the way that you need to do things. You need to do things like bite-sized, week by week, and don't feel like you need to just suddenly film 20 videos on 1 day, because that can be really overwhelming. But doing it gradually like that, you'll start to realize that you're ahead and it hasn't even taken too much extra effort to do so. And as I mentioned, having all of that extra content in reserve is going to do wonders for your social media management, because you may not even have to plan too many videos to film in a month at that point. And when you actually do your planning for the month, you can already know what you need to post because you've already filmed those videos, all that content. So you can really start to be a lot more on top of your social media management that way. And then tip number 5 is to have a dedicated content calendar. I think that this is really important for any content creator out there because a lot of people don't have dedicated content calendars. And even for me, for the longest time, I actually just had mainly my daily, weekly, monthly planners, which kind of had a mix of everything of my to-do lists. Like it was things that weren't work related and then it was things that were work related on them. So quite often it would feel a bit jumbly or muddled up. And I'd be thinking, oh, is that work related? No, that's not work related. It's not very visually appealing to look at something like that sometimes and see a lot of clarity with it for your work week. So I think having a dedicated content calendar, and you can do this digitally really easily too. I actually made one really recently through PixArt, and it is just a really basic content calendar where I can move things easily around through the platform, and you can have like little visual stickers to kind of represent your posting dates or what your tasks are for the week when it comes to social media management. You can really put in things like what you need to plan out as well for the week and everything around social media content creation. I personally really like calendars and planners to be very visual because I feel like I'm a visual person, and I do think that having a content calendar that's been dedicated to this has helped me so much with social media management and really making sure that I'm on top of all of the output that I have for the week. Well, thank you so much for watching this video today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one. Let me know down in the comment section below some of your tips for social media management and whether you use any of these tips or whether you have a different process that you think works for you better. Definitely let me know in the comments because I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, just a quick reminder, if you want to check out Metrical for free, make sure to click the link in the description box below and use the code Kaylee for 30 free days off any paid plan. Make sure to also hit the notification bell if you want to see more updates from this channel. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.